Well, good evening, everybody. Good morning. Good afternoon, wherever so you happen to be in the world. Where I work, we've had several people in sales that were deeply involved in ministry. The Philippines, overseas, locally here. And sometimes we can get the impression people who are in the ministry are just so much better than us until they enter the real world. Several of them came into the arena of working outside of ministry. And I've watched some of them change. Or should I say, the acting masks come off. You see, when you're in a church, when you're in a ministry, you have to act. We've been conditioned in America to act. People say, act right. Even the song, No Parking on the Dance Floor. You better get a move on that body or I'll be forced to give you a ticket, so act right. We hear people say, you're not acting professional. You're not acting mature. And our society in America has groomed us to act. Look at TV. Look at the whole thing of TV. Go back to when we were kids, those of us that are my age. Canned laughter? Are you serious? Have you noticed every movie has to have music to it? They can't just do raw acting. They got to have music with the horror scene. You know, somebody just jamming the bow across the violin, and you know somebody's about to get killed. I mean, you know what's going to happen. Can you imagine doing a horror movie with total no music? It'd be even more scary. Why do people like horror? I'm just going to ask an honest question. Why do people enjoy seeing people get stabbed and killed and raw horror on a movie? I've never understood that. I really believe in my heart, if you like horror, you have a very strong tendency towards violence. I noticed a lot of black women like horror. Everyone I dated was into abject, gratuitous violence and horror. I'm just like, girls are made of sugar and spice and everything nice. I'm a guy, I don't want to see horror. I believe in nonviolence as much as possible. But in this day and age, and the way people are, you never know. So you have to be prepared. But you never can be prepared enough. So you have to trust in God. And I remember going to church after church after church where they made a big deal about being in the ministry, in the ministry. Churches become cliques with the leadership. Sunday morning, they get up there and grandstand. I just want to thank Rick. He's done so much for the church. And they praise the secretary and praise the worship leader who sings the same 10 boring, lifeless songs that he did not create, and he gets 70,000 a year for that. I'm like, give me the worship leader ministry. I will change it up. Nobody sings from the heart in church anymore. I'm not joking. When they had Christian rock music hit the church, I thought, we're in trouble. When ELO and Christian bands and ELO, Gordon Lightfoot, Fleetwood Mac, and secular bands are better than what they are playing in church, something's wrong. Is worship about our entertainment? And you hear people who love their crappy music say, Well, it's not about you. Well, it's about you because we got your style and only your style. And if I dare to mention something that takes you on a more spiritual plane, you're not interested. I think of John Michael Talbot. He's the undersung musician out there. He can take a dang guitar, an acoustic guitar. You are my hiding place, oh Lord. We don't sing like that no more. Shine, Jesus, shine. And these gay songs that were created by housewives. These are the days of Elijah. I can't get into it. The other one I hate is come, now is the time to worship. And then you say come. And I'm sorry to be crude, but as a grown man, I don't want to say come, come. My mind is dirty. It's polluted. I don't want to go to church and sing come over and over. Not the place. In fact, I would never sing a song saying come. The line in that song, come just as you are to worship, does the Bible teach that? No, not at all. Let's read. Sermon on the Mount talks about that. Are we supposed to come just as we are to worship? You are, as a non-Christian, supposed to come to Jesus just as you are for salvation. If therefore you are presenting your offering at the altar and there remember that your brother has something against you, leave your offering there before the altar and go your way. First be reconciled to your brother and then come and present your offering. How many Christians deal with the boo-boos and the scars they've caused others? And they come in on Sunday morning. Come, now is the time. You think God's interested in that? If you don't get this ready, then what is the definition of worship? This is going to shock everybody because this is where every single one of us Christians fail. Really fail. Worship is not the music. It is not the music at all. Oh, yawning. Romans 12:1 defines worship. American, flaky, superficial, mile wide, inch deep churches need to read this, unpack it, and study it. I urge you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies as a living and holy sacrifice acceptable to God, which is your spiritual service of worship. Nothing about singing trite 7-Eleven choruses. Do we do that? You're living in sin with your girlfriend. You're living in sin with your boyfriend. You think that God's impressed with you singing some trite song? You didn't present your body as a sacrifice. We're guilty in America. If we want to do something, we just do it. No conviction, no conscience. Our culture, our Hollywood culture, has been more powerful of a pulpit than any church around today. Even me, I'm affected and weighted down by the environment and culture I was raised in. I too have had a taste of sin. It's fun. It's pleasurable for a season. Today, people defend gluttony, getting drunk, doing drugs, living together before marriage, sex before marriage, and then they'll come on here and scream about me wearing this. You becoming one with somebody and you're not married is forbidden in Scripture. We don't have conviction. The only time we get angry is when somebody wrongs us. We don't get angry when we disappoint God. We don't. We're flippant. We're casual. We don't take God seriously. We are more worried about what somebody next to us thinks than the Almighty, who already sees not only what's going on inside, He sees you in the dark in your car. He sees you in your bedroom. You can turn off all the lights all you want. You might as well be in a football stadium with what you're doing. The Bible says, seeing that we are compassed about by such great cloud of witnesses, are those people in heaven watching us every time we, wow, I don't know, but people think they're hiding their sin. That's funny. God doesn't need light. He is light. Why do we do this? Because we believe that God's holding out on us, just like Eve. Oh my God, she's so beautiful. Even me, I'm soft. I'm soft. If a beautiful woman came over, I'd be a dead ringer. Now, not just any. If I vetted her and she was into me. I want to thank everybody on my live last night. Something took place last night that shocked me. Let me go back. Years ago, a clown who's still present with us. Let's roll that beautiful bean footage. This clown, disturbed, 11 years, coming after me. He said, nobody on your channel is going to defend you, Pacific. They're afraid of me. Nobody, and he was right. People were scared about the online stuff back in the day. A woman came into the chat room. I had just talked about her. Woman I had a very strong interest in. She fooled me. It made me realize that even at 60, even though I've been through catfishing and scams, that we can still be hoodwinked. And the women in the room, when she came in and I made it known it was her, ooh, the fur flew. And it's funny, she hadn't talked to me since Friday and talked 2 texts. And then nothing. Somebody came into the room and said, well, she's not your wife. She's not obligated to text you. You're right. But if you say you're interested in me, and I say, how are you? Did you work today? And day 1 goes by, day 2 goes by, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then you show up last night in the chat. You don't answer any of my text messages. We boys can be dumb. That one is. And we know the amount of energy that he focuses on this channel. He can't get a girlfriend. He doesn't have a life, and he's miserable. So he likes to punish and torture people because he plays Legatus video games. And I'm telling you, there is a direct link between violent video games and disturbed consciences. And people argue with me that all day long. This guy actually believes that he's a character in one of those games. He is not a pretty man. I don't like looking at him. And I always, I was taken by this woman. And without rehashing everything, I watched the people on my channel. They would stand up to Andrew. They'd stand up to Legatus. He won't answer or talk to any of them because he's a clown. It's amazing how brave people feel online. And the women took issue. And she left the room. Didn't even answer any of my questions. And it hit me. You come into the room and don't even text me? Are you serious? And you want me to believe? Well, I checked out. Nobody got a response from me. What do you mean nobody? Who else was involved that I don't know about? How many other guys were you secretly sending pictures to? One with the shirt off. You're beautiful, at least the picture was. And how many other people did you send that to? It's hard to build trust with long distance relationships. It's even harder when you don't answer text for 4 or 5 days. Heather typed into the room, a real catfish. I laughed. Girls online play games, boys. How many guys do they got on a string? I remember years ago, I used to collect rabbits' feet, the dyed rabbit. Think about it, gross, right? When I was not saved, I believe they were good luck. I had 13 of them on a chain hanging down my side. And that's girls. They got online, they got everything going on. I love you. I really want to be with you. And I told the ladies, no, she talked to me on the phone. Yeah, but she video called. Well, I asked her. She said, I'm not put together, not tonight. So, I gave her the benefit of the doubt. You gotta be cruel to be kind in the right measure. Cruel to be kind, da 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 da. People are cruel. Remember that song? Who do you think you are? Running around leaving scars, collecting your jar of hearts. Women say that about us. Well, women are collecting their jars of hearts, leaving scars. Thank you for doing that, Elle. Thanks for taking the high road when you know and heard my story. Thank you for that. Thank you for doing that. I'm so proud of you. You almost had me. But then my own doubts rose, so I brought it up to chat on the weekend. And the ladies rose and said, that ain't right. And I do learn to ask women because, women are an invaluable resource in women. They have a fifth sense or a sixth sense, so to speak. And I applaud the chat last night. Everybody said this woman is a scam. This ain't adding up. She threatened one of them. I don't know who she called trolls and said, watch out. That's disturbing. They pointed out the obvious. She's wearing a necklace. No one's supposed to wear a necklace wearing in the medical community because patients could reach up and grab it. I didn't even think of that. Looking back on my wife, who was a nurse, she did not wear necklaces to work. Somebody joked when I posted my picture, you take loving yourself to a whole new level, putting kisses on you. It turned me on to do that, to hear the sound of kissing. I love the sound of kissing. I love it when she had lipstick all over and put this all over my body. And I'd do it back to her. It'd be fun. Be so lesbianish. We live in a broken world. And you would think that people wouldn't play games, especially as honest and direct as I am. They don't stop them. People don't have fear, they don't have a conscience. You're into me, but you don't tell me. You come into the chat room and you can't text. Something ain't adding up. And I'm stupid, but I ain't dumb. It blows my mind. And it just reminds me again, my own struggle as a Christian. That's why PORN is so powerful. But that's why fantasy is better than reality. Thank God I didn't get going deeper into this. Be like Boy George, mistake number 3. There's community here. I didn't make it happen. And I vehemently disagreed with some women, but I did not chase them off. And they're still active and integral part. And you know what? We as Christians cannot change everybody. We cannot even change ourselves. And it's okay to agree to disagree if we're respectful about it. I can't stand these grown men that get on my channel. Oh, here I thought you could have dialogue and you don't. Man, what are you going on about? I'm going to unsubscribe because that's what you want me to do. You know what? I'm going to hide you now. I don't even know what you're talking about. Viewers out there, you leave your novel paragraphs. I don't read all that, number one. That's ridiculous. You see, I talk. You got 13,000 plus subs. You think I got time to read novels on my videos? The KISS method, man. Keep it simple, stupid. I read the comments every day, but if they're this long, I'm like, you know, you got something to say, come in a chat. Air your grievance out there, at least we can interact. And I'm like, what are you talking about? There's people trying to find flaws. I don't agree with you. That's your big point. And you're not going to get me to agree with you. Why would I do that? If you're wrong, you're wrong. I think it's interesting what's going on in our society. People think because I have a platform, I have to allow everybody on it that disagrees with me, or I'm not, championing free speech. I am championing free speech. But if you're going to dominate and own the room and tell me I'm wrong and be rude, you don't belong here. I would love to kiss a woman with this lipstick on. I think it'd be so fun. I do. I'm weird, and that's okay. At least I'm not hurting anybody. It's fun. And it gives my trolls something to talk about. We got to keep material fresh for them, too. It's only fitting. I just be me. I'm comfortable in my own skin. And I've tried to live in the skin that everybody wanted me to live in, and it didn't work. Tried it with my mother, my sister, my aunt, my grandma, all the women in my family that were grossly immature. Somebody took a life back, and that's something. They saw me kiss myself and took a life back. It's amazing how many men and women will come on and judge the hell out of me. But you ought to see what they look at. You ought to see what they do in real life. Way worse than what I've got going on here. Sometimes I do things just because I'm curious. I actually like putting on the lipstick. I don't go to work and do it. I don't do it at church. By the way, somebody said that's going to be expensive. This was cheap. It's fun. Personally, I think some people watching get off on it and enjoy it. I think if we're honest, most of us are living in fantasy. We live in reality and we step out the door and go to work every day. And we all agree that work and our jobs are draining and people are draining and people suck outside our four walls. My channel brings people together from all around the world that are interesting. I often wonder how much time I got left on this earth. I don't want to live where I can't take care of myself. I don't want to live beyond my own usefulness. That thought scares me. Can you imagine being in a nursing home with Gen Z people taking care of you? Please, God, do not suffer me that evil. Gen Z honestly scares me. They're a weird generation. The last edge of millennial and the beginning of Gen Z. They'll get up in your face, threaten you, cuss you out, and then you can say something not even directed at them, and then they get all butthurt. It's really weird. There's this extreme insanity on the one hand and this extreme insensitivity on the other. I saw that with a relative threatening me on the one hand and then getting butthurt over a comment. Crazy. Crazy stuff. And I don't know what's going to happen because I'm 60. What's going to happen when people stop working at the warehouses and stop working as auto mechanics? Because these young people aren't doing it. They don't want to do it. What's going to happen? We're going to watch an implosion take place. I think of the iron workers that built the Titanic. Can you imagine being a riveter? My gosh. You talk about hard, sweaty work, no OSHA, no safety. You couldn't sue if you got hurt back then. And I guarantee you, a lot of these Irish blokes, when they got done, they probably went straight for the rum after their shift. That's sobering when you realize that. And I'm sorry, the older generation worked a lot harder than we did. They did. Even the most seemingly legend in his own mind macho guy is nothing compared to yesteryear's men. Not even close. People think, why do you do that? Why does the guy put a toilet seat on his head? Why does somebody go woo and fall off ladders or sit on ladders or jump off ladders? Like I said yesterday, you can't be honest about sexual issues. Not in a church. Why would you do that? You know, why? Young lady came into the channel yesterday before I went to work saying that if I read the text right, she was at a church camp and the woman was feeling up all the girls and then telling them if they liked boys, they were going to go to hell. Talk about manipulation. That's the first time I ever heard anything like that. in the Catholic Church with the priests, people constantly wanting to defend Catholicism. It is an indefensible religion. It is not biblical Christianity. The priests refusing to marry. But evangelicals do the same thing. Sex is not a need. Really? Why did God say it's not good for man to be alone? What was he talking about? Because we can't do the dishes, we can't iron, we can't clean windows. I can do all of the above. Why does he say we need a helpmate? I don't need anybody to help me to do the affairs of this house. I can remodel it, clean it, decorate it all by myself and have. Is it just sexual? I don't think it's just sexual, but I think that's a big part of it. Aloneness and sexuality are not a good match. America is the #1 nation in the world producing nude images. Why are we #1? This is supposed to be a family, Judeo-Christian ethic nation. That's the smoke and mirrors. I'll tell you why PORN is so high and so addicting in this country. Look at what a young woman did to me, 45 years old. Somebody scanned her picture in Google and they said it was a fake. And that you can use a voice changer app. Clownface did that years ago. He called my phone and did a voice app. Michael, weird. People are disturbed. And they'll project onto everybody how bad they are and then never talk about their flaws and their stalking and their weird habits. So what do? How do you live in this world? How do you show the love of God to people like that? I can't do it. I cannot do it. I'm being honest. I cannot do it. I don't love people that do that. I don't love people that are violent and evil and threaten. I just want to get away from them. I just want nothing to do with them. If you remember nothing else, cheese makes the world go round. I have to get my plug. Do you guys watching know about a dynamic? This went through my mind just now, and it's true of me. That My mother was not a well-adjusted woman, the one that adopted me. And I don't get on YouTube to SHIT talk her. That's not what this is all about. I have been damaged by my mother. If you were to go on a scale of 1 to 10, I don't know where it'd be at, but it's significant. People, come on here. Do you dress like a woman because you were abused? I don't know if I make that connection. Let me tell you about some of the things I went through as a child. So my dad had a 72 Dodge pickup truck, 3/4 ton V8 stick shift, 318 V8. I ended up getting that truck when I was an adult, but it had a huge 11.5 foot slide-in camper. You know, the one that hangs over the sides, has a bed up over the cab, and it had the shocks mounted to the front. The only problem with that is that could be a problem because the cab moves different than the bed of the truck. We lived in Los Angeles. We lived in a nice neighborhood, but we weren't that far off Crenshaw Boulevard, which is busy. My mother would get upset. I don't even remember what. I was very little. They'd put me in the camper, take me out of my room and put me in the camper to stay the night in there. And when I was a kid, I was bored. And I'd open the cupboards and I'd start picking at the cupboards, you know, these kind of doors. But they were hollow inside. And I would take something and break the wood and dig a hole in the back inside of the cabinet. I've always had high energy. I wake up very early, and I'd wake up when it was dark. I'd hear the pigeons in the yard. Ooh, ooh. My mother adopted me, but my mother did not handle me well. When I got home from school, I was sent to my room. She had an eye catch on the door, and I was locked in there. I remember year after year going home and sent to my room. I didn't have run of the house. I'd be in the backyard. My relationship with my mother was squeaky. She'd bring my food to my bedroom. I had to yell and scream and bang on the door to be let out so I'd go to the toilet. She'd punish me, make me sit in the bathtub with no water and crouch in the tub. And if she had the washing machine going outside the drain cycle, the washing machine would backflow into the tub, and I told if I got out of the tub, I'd be spanked. So I'm yelling and screaming, "What is wrong with you? The water's coming in the tub." She'd make me crouch under a piece of furniture. I mean, I was in the bathroom for an hour in the tub, and then she'd shove me under a piece of furniture. My mother would be arrested by CPS today for what she did. My cousin and I recently had a conversation on the phone about that. I was locked in my room on a Saturday all day. My dad's in the den watching football. I'd slide that big window open and run around. The neighbors called and said, "Hey, your kid's running loose in the neighborhood." My dad came in and took a stud nail and drove it into the sill, and you couldn't open the window. Can you imagine if there'd have been a fire? I was not raised in a normal environment. I would put sand in my pockets at Walteria Elementary, and I started putting the sand in the windowsill. It's a wood frame window, and it slid left to right. I started putting sand. I had little plastic trees, and I started dumping water in there. That's real good. start rotting things. My mother gets so mad for me asking to come out. I was so afraid I'd pull the bed out and piss in the corner and shove the bed back. I would sneak books home from the library at school, hide them underneath my clothing, and then shove them between the mattress so my mom would take everything out of the room. My mother was cruel as fuck. And she told all the relatives all my life. She put me down to everybody, in front of my face and behind my back. Oh, Michael's up to his shenanigans again. He's flibbity-gibbet. That was her word. My mother was condescending and patronizing. We moved to Prescott, and I bought myself a mountain bike. My mother was horrible. I'm going to give you your bank account. You need to do something. Go buy a bicycle. And I spent, back then, $300 for a Raleigh stump jumper. Raleigh was I believe, a British-made bike. It was beautiful. Heavy frame, not this titanium. This bike was the boss. And I rode it to school, and I'd ride it all over Prescott. I'm like, I got my freedom. We moved to Prescott. You can look up the property, 2200 Iron Springs Road. Pull it up on Zillow. And look at the pictures. Look at the pictures of the garage. It's badly weathered and worn. It wasn't like that in the 80s. And you can barely see a part of the side room, the shed. That's my bedroom. 2200 Iron Springs Road, Prescott, Arizona. Look it up. Nice house. It had a living room with an oxbow with the lights. The living room was charming. That was a cute old 40s house with a big addition for a master bedroom and bath. Yeah, my mom didn't want me in the house. In 1983, we left Mammoth. My mother was a piece of work. My mother was abusive. My dad was abusive. My dad would threaten, you better knock it off or I'll hit you in the teeth. That made no sense to me as a kid. I hated my dad. He was overweight and he'd chew his food to the front of his mouth because he rotted out all his molars. I couldn't stand my dad. I was afraid of both of them. And in a child's mind, I was so happy on a Saturday when mom was gone with her antique friends. My dad was sitting in the room watching football. My sister and I both knew, sky's the limit, man. Dad's over there. As long as we don't bother him, we were running around acting up and doing who knows what. And I remember the comment being made by somebody, what's wrong with you? Look at all the men watching football. I don't like football. When I got punished, I was sent to the den to sit in there where my dad could keep watching. I remember the Pittsburgh Steelers, 1970s, man, were playing. And my older sister, I had done something. I don't know if I took something out of her. She goes, that's your group. You're a stealer. You're a thief. You're the Steelers. My older sister, the natural born of those two people, was nasty to me. And I remember as a kid, maybe I had ADD. I don't know. They didn't do that diagnosis. My mother did get me put on Ritalin, which didn't do anything. That was way back in the day. And I love it when these people come on my channel or in life and analyze and judge me. And God has matured my mind. When I became a Christian, He started giving me the ability to see into the spiritual realm, understand His Word, and understand me. It took me a long time. I'd never go shirtless, ever, in the house, out of the house. Wasn't until Minnesota. It was so humid and hot. I was doing work in the front yard and I took my shirt off and went out there. And that shocked me. The neighbor lady, Renee, who was married, she was a pretty brunette. She had her Toyota 4Runner or whatever it was. She stopped. Hey, Mike. I said, hey, Renee. She said, wow, you need to come out here with that outfit on more. I was shocked. All the years I was put down, my red hair, my thick glasses. This woman's married and she made a compliment and she was a looker. I said, thank you. No, looks good, Mike. Oh my gosh. And it's amazing the damage that can be done by years and years of criticism and abuse. And we moved to Mammoth in 1976. My mother put a catch on my door. I had finally had enough. I was 10 years old. And my mom and dad slept upstairs. And I finally pulled that door. It was a corridor and the catch ripped right out of it. My mother called me a monster. I said, I don't need to be locked in my room like an animal. I need to go to the bathroom. And I'm not going to pee on the floor in this house. That was the end of the catch. My mother and dad would fight right above my bedroom. The kitchen was right above the bedroom in Mammoth. You can look that house up too. $900,000. My parents in 76 paid $56,000 for it. That was a lot of money. They sold it in 83 for $104,000. That house is almost $1 million and they added a huge addition onto it. But the living room, everything is still there. The big rafters. Oh my gosh. They did a major rework of stuff. But the original raftered ceiling and everything in the loft is still there. It's like, wow. My mother was weird. I remember when I got older, I wanted to ride with my mother, not my dad. My mom and dad had such a happy marriage, they took 2 vehicles to go to California to see the relatives. I did not like riding with my dad and his country kicking music and his ways. My dad and I could not have a good conversation. Couldn't do that. My dad was a man of few words. And as I got older, we all find ways to adjust. And we'd stop at AM, PM mini markets in towns like Big Pine, Lone Pine, Independence, Bishop. I'd go in there and buy comics, Archie, Richie Rich. Sit in the back seat reading Jughead's Digest, Archie Digest. Those were the best. My dad was happy. I didn't bother him. And then when they came out with the Ghetto Blaster and the Walkman, my world began to improve. Big dopey headphones, boombox on my lap with a big old jack into it. Saw your eyes and you made me cry. We were falling in love. Flock of seagulls, man. I have my tape cassettes. We're going down the LA freeway to go to Grandma's. And the music reminds me of going across the Arizona, California desert in towns like Blythe, Palm Springs, 29 Palms, hotter than hot out there. I never had a healthy, good relationship with my folks. The natural-born daughter was deceitful. She ended up becoming a devout Mormon. My sister would get my adopted sister. She was from a different family. When mom and dad were out, My older sister would say, Mom's been really mean to you guys lately. We thought we had an ally. And we'd start talking. Mom would get home. Oh, you should have heard what Michael and so said about you. My sister was so nasty. When she babysat us, my cousin relays to me a story. I remember when your sister babysitted me, she threatened to call the police on me. I said, yeah, I remember that. My cousin hadn't even done anything. My sister was just a brat girl. And she came in my room, tickled me so hard, and I squirmed. And my mother used to buy those old fruit orchard crates that they had in the orchards in California. We'd go out there and pick pears and peaches and stuff. And they had a metal edge around it. And it was right by my bed and had some books on it. Banged my head, cut my head open, not enough to get stitches. I started crying. And Susie started, oh, don't tell Mom, I'm so sorry. And I told her to get me a drink of water. She goes in the bathroom and pours a cup of Listerine. My sister was nasty. I literally started to drink it. And I went, what is this? I did not grow up. I got nice things. If you look at my mother's photo, she's not photogenic. She looks like a shrew the way her face is. She's not. My aunt and my mother were so opposite each other in my mind, and yet my cousin relays stories of growing up under him. It's like Ann Landers and Abby, sisters giving advice to the world. Both of them were screwed up and couldn't get along with each other. My aunt was gorgeous. She was sexy. I admit, I wasn't blood related. When I was in middle school, Sharon would wear that two-piece black swimsuit. In the International Scout, we go down to the Owens River to go tubing. I was slobbering in my heart over my aunt. She looked nothing like my mother. Sigmund Freud was a liar. He said that boys desire their mother sexually. No way. Never, never, never. Never. And my mother even encouraged me, my cousin, who is 4 days younger than me, we would talk and, well, you could marry her. And I said, really, Mom, my cousin? Well, you're not blood related. I never thought about having a love relationship with Jana. Jana ended up becoming very narcissistic. The whole family noticed that. And I don't think that things changed. And what's interesting is Jana was a Christian. My sister Susie was a Mormon, and they're like this. I don't mean to be rude, but as a Christian, I could never have a close heart-heart relationship with somebody who does not believe in the faith. I just can't see that. And I remember Jana in 1980, gotta remember the year here, 84, December. The relatives came up for Christmas. I was in my room playing the new Duran Duran album, Union of the Snake was the hit song. I had the LP. She liked to hang out in my room because I had that 6-foot stereo. And she goes, man, you got a maid out here. I said, I know, I can play my music loud and I don't have to hear Dad say, turn it down. And I can sneak out at night when they go to sleep in the house. I'm out of here. My friends would pick me up on the highway at the end of the driveway and we would hang out. Do we do anything wrong? Do we vandalize? Do we smoke pot, do drugs? No. We just hung out. And I was an obedient kid. I tried to respect my parents. And I remember asking Jana in my room, that cold winter December day, I said, I'm afraid I'm going to go to hell. Are you not going to go to hell, Michael? She never told me anything. She never shared her faith or witnessed to me. So people get on here and they see what I do and they go, this guy's weird. People that have gone through stuff like that, do you know what they usually turn into? A problem to society. What about Ted Kaczynski? That was a screwball. Lived in a garden shed in Montana, and he's sending bombs to political figures through the mail. Look at Timothy McVeigh. No freaking conscience. Blew the front of the federal building in Oklahoma City off using a Ryder truck loaded with fertilizer. And that isn't in me. But one thing that everybody on my channel needs to understand, y'all make fun of Bundy and Dahmer and the Green River Killer and these psychos. Did you know that any one of us is capable of being like that? And if you don't think you are, you're deceived. I was thinking about this yesterday while I was working. The Bible says about every person, I don't care how pretty you are, I don't care how much money you make, I don't care how many degrees you got, or your celeb status. The Bible said the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? You don't even know your own heart. Neither do I. I think I do. I love ships, music, and women. But as God began to unravel the onion skin layers in my life, I began to realize, man, there's a lot in there I had no idea of. And don't think somebody pushes your buttons enough, you hide behind scripture and do what you want. But any one of us could do something under the wrong set of circumstances. And for people who don't realize that about themselves, those are the ones acting in life. Those are the ones acting because, it's just like, and I'm going to say it again, you hear me say it all the time. And I understand that everybody's different. And I wanted to, one of my channel regulars answered when I said, I'm so tired of people responding, I'm doing well. And they say that with a tone. They say that in a predictable way. I don't need 3, I need 2. And I've noticed that, she made a comment. She said, some people they don't want to tell somebody how they're doing because they don't want to bring all their troubles to them. And I get that. How many of you have been to churches or you've been around people that the minute you see them, you go, oh gosh, I don't want to talk to that person. We've all done it. And that woman, every time you ask her, I'm not doing good, Mike. And you're going to hear an hour of all the woes. And every time you see them, we're human. We can't deal with that. We can't take it over and over and over. Could you imagine being a care provider? Do we think about the women that do that? To have to see people like in a nursing home or in a hospital. How do you go to work and come out? Oh, I had a great day today. People that sweat, shart themselves. They're depressed, they're down. And you're supposed to act professional. We don't get out of ourselves most of the time and try to think about what people are going through. I also can be cynical. I also can gaslight because I've been gaslit and patronized and looked down on and condescended to. And that is an effective teacher. It's an effective passing the baton. When your parents and your family and society is a certain way, and what my mother did not expect, she never could have realized. When I got saved, my mother ramped from 100 miles an hour to 400, showing the fact she didn't know our Lord. She poured abuse and heaping, not abuse. She didn't physically whack me anymore because I was in high school. I was 19 now. And just the stuff that went on after I got saved. And I fled from home before I graduated and moved in with the girlfriend's family at the father's encouraged. And that is a whole other chapter of more dysfunction that I continue to go through. The girl's father trying to make me his son. I said, Frank, I'm not your son. The weirdness of Frank, who was cult-like. He taught me a lot of biblical doctrine. The church excommunicated him from the Baptist church. But Frank, he was very arrogant. He thought he was right. Everybody else was wrong. Do you know how many years it's taken me to unpack and get the dysfunction and face just the mentoring I had? And you wonder why I do this. Because America is a country of a pendulum. We swing this way, we swing this way, and I do it, and you do it. Men that play macho to hide something. By macho, I'm talking about the need to buy a lift truck and talk about guns and talk tough and intimidate to mask for blatant insecurity. And I do this, and I get plenty of trolls and comments. It is dying down somewhat. We remove the comments and report people. We just simply, if they leave a hateful comment, I report harassment or hateful content. And I realize I have grown. I realize I have changed because that stuff used to just whittle me down to nothing. And now I'm going, why are you leaving this comment? If you don't like my channel, swipe up. They want to be heard, which tells me they're very insecure. The ones I love, the ones that sit in our live stream chat, and they say, you're mental, you're wrong, but you don't leave, do you? Keep engaging with us. And I promise you this, most of those men that are doing that, they're typing all this with one hand, and they're relieving themselves with the other. I've learned something about human nature. There's a guy at Denver Schools. I didn't like him. He was funny, and he seemed okay, but as I worked there 7 years, I started to go, this guy has a problem. He threatened me one day. I said, are you threatening me, Jack? I said, you think you can take me? I said, that's a pretty bold assumption. It's not an assumption. I know I can. I said, you don't know that. I said, a single bullet to your head and it's over. Are you threatening me? He said, no, you're threatening me. I said, why would you do that? I'm nice to you. I'm nice to everybody. I've noticed that about men. I'm not a threat to them. But then I started to rethink that you are, Michael. You don't walk around being tough, but you are a threat because you're secure in who you are. And when somebody's not secure, they're going to threaten you. They're going to press in. That's a fact. I don't need to go get a psych degree to figure this stuff out. Time and again, it reveals itself. Am I a well-adjusted male? I don't think I am. But guess what? I'm a survivor. Why would a grown man put on lipstick and kiss himself? Because I can. I like it. Do I realize some people might get turned on watching that? Good. I think that's okay because you know what? If somebody can have a happy moment, just like Bob Ross with his little happy trees, I don't care. Mike, it's wrong. Everything is wrong. Does God helicopter parent everybody that does wrong to me? he hasn't to date. And this is where we have to understand something. How come God didn't come in and stop my mother and my father and my sister and the relatives of my family? How come God didn't stop my ex-wife after I was man enough to say, I can't do this, I can't pretend, I don't love you, you don't love me? And she was a BOGO girl, she shopped till she dropped, and she harassed me and bothered me and did her games, I was married 14 years. I got an additional 14 plus an extra year thrown in for bonus. And the damage that she did is still going on to this day. Had to block my son's YouTube, block my son's number. It's like, you know what? Get the fuck away from me, people. Get away. I'm not bothering you. I'm not coming after you. Leave me alone. My mother, all the years, and she's still alive. Michael this, Michael that. My mother never in my life hugged me and said, I'm sorry. The power of 2 words. I'm sorry. Never to be. My dad died last year. Do you think any of the clowns from that family called and let me know? No, I found out third party. Just ridiculous. I saw the funeral thing. Oh, I was so tempted. My mother wrote the eulogy, which was quite hilarious. It was all bullshit. My mother was horrible to Fred Nelson. Absolutely horrible. My dad did go to work every day. He worked in insurance for dams, counties, airports. His company held the policy for the old Dunes Hotel and Casino, which was a big anchor in Vegas back in the day. I remember seeing it. We come down those desert mountains, descending into Vegas, and the Dunes Hotel would be lit up at night. That thing's gone now. Now they've got, Vegas has just exploded into I don't know what. You couldn't pay me to move to Nevada. My ex, we were driving through there in a pickup truck, front end, small U-Haul. We were going 65. And some Nevada guy with a cowboy hat, Nevada plates, rolled up on my tail. I was trying to pass somebody. Took me a little time. That person was going slightly under speed limit. I don't speed. Pass, I put on my signal, move over. Guy with a cowboy hat goes like this, and I'm like, what the heck did I do? Guy came out of nowhere, roared up on me. I couldn't get out of his way fast enough. Note to Americans, just because you're in a hurry doesn't mean I need to move for you. I'm using it as a passing lane. It's an interstate. Wait for me to pass and I move. People in this country are assholes. That's what I believe. Most men in America are assholes. That is my number one foundational truth. Most women are the B word in this culture. Not everybody. When men are nice to me, I often think, yep, they got a motive. When women are nice to me, yep, they've got a motive. I've been trained. My mother did it. When my mother needed something, she was so nice. It amazes me, though, watching the internet. Chrysler sent me a video of an Asian woman imitating the nail salon. It was well done. But it's like 117 million views. Yeah, that looked nice, that looked nice. She did it perfectly. Why is it that somebody who can do that gets all these views? All this, oh, she's great, she's great, she's... Wow, you guys put her up there as some sort of a deity. Me, a grown man, being a little bit off, I'll never get 174 million views and likes. Never. Our society is a caste system. If you're a woman, if you're good looking, move to the front of the line. If you're a jerk male and you treat people like crap, move to the front of the line. America's got it all upside down and back-asswards and wrong. And for a woman, a grown woman, to play with my heart, hearing all my video. She even had video of her listening to my rant and play, I saw it. Love is just not for Michael. And so I've had a hard time believing in the love of God. I got saved because I acknowledged mentally and in my heart, I'm not God, He is. I need God. Sometimes I look at God as a big old megalomaniac. I've been around all these women in the church and the Beth Moore theology. It's not about you. Have you looked at Beth Moore's bottom line? She doesn't accept her natural hair color, fake blonde, dyed her hair, ugly clothes. She charges a gargantuan amount of money for her seminars and calls it her ministry. I got a personal problem with that stuff. I got a personal problem with these high-profile preachers and teachers online that are raking in a cash cow. It isn't right at all. And how about pro sports and the money they pay for that? It's ridiculous. Totally ridiculous. A rapper, Cardi B, can sing about her vagina being wet and amass millions of dollars. And that's the kind of world I go out into every day. People listening to that crap. Even the new guy that I'm training, he seemed nice. And he was laughing. I said, what's so funny? And I looked him in the eye. I said, I bet you went and told your wife you worked with this weird white guy. I did. I taught him how to do the job. I've always said, good morning, you're doing good. People automatically have an opinion against me. You wonder why I do this in my house? Because I can live in a different world. I wish I had these tattooed all over my arms. I think it'd be fun. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to pay $70 a pop for a tattoo, just put lips all over me. I'd like a pretty woman's lips all over me. That'd be far better than the fantasy. But you marry or get involved with a woman, oh my! I remember when I met that woman at the laundromat, and I married her in 5 weeks, and I went to her house. She didn't help me at all. I had to go to her apartment. When I got off from driving the bus and make load after load in her car, I couldn't believe all the clothes she had. Her apartment was a mess. Things thrown all over the place. My wife was not a homemaker. She was not a housekeeper. She was good at her job. She was terrible at parenting, terrible as a homemaker, and terrible as a wife. And I'm going to say it just like it is. And just like my mother. She went around telling everybody, Michael this, Michael that. And I noticed over the years, I kept attracting women that were just like my mother. Cold, non-emotional, no passion. Can't own up to their sin. I mean, what do you do when you're a Christian and you never look at yourself and say, I haven't been nice to you? How do you do that? How is it that women can claim that God's got their back and they got a relationship and they're leaving flotsam and wreckage? I mean, most women I've been involved with, it looks like the Titanic sank. There's deck chairs and bodies and floating stuff all over the Atlantic. And you look at them and say, did you see that? What? That mess. You did that. Honey, I did not do that. That comes from your boat, not mine. the women? I remember a guy at a workplace in the 80s said, how's it that women can do so much SHIT and come out smelling like a rose? I laughed. How is that? Because they got these. That's it. How is it that a woman can play with my heart and come in here and try to convince everybody, well, I didn't answer anybody, not just you. Oh, so that makes it right. And why are you coming in here to tell me, but you didn't even text my phone at all? Games people play in the middle of the night. And I like, was it Evita said it? Classic. People treat real life like a dating app. I doubt God sometimes. What if something happens to me and I can't work and I can't take care of myself? Oh, I'm done. I am done, baby. Nobody's going to take me on. Nobody's going to help me. We men do it for women. Women are not going to do it for me. Not unless there's something in it for them. And I believe love is dependent on what somebody can get out of it. My mother kept telling me, we adopted you because you were cute and you were special. And she proved all of my life that I wasn't special by the abuse, by the consternation, by the judgment, locking me in my room. She should have been required to go through psychological testing before adopting kids. And then she wanted to adopt some Vietnamese kids during Vietnam. I'm glad that didn't happen. My mother had a hole in her life. So let's buy 4 dogs, or 3 dogs, 4 cats, 2 goats. Let's adopt. My mother, I'd have to stop and think how many houses we've owned. Not me, but my folks owned. My mother got dissatisfied. Let's move, and they moved here, moved here, moved here, moved to how many houses and condos in the same town. In fairness to my father who's passed away, he got a bum deal marrying that woman. She wore the pants. She took authority over him. And now we live in a time, especially here in Augusta, that I as a man look better in women's clothes than most of the women look in women's clothes. That's the biggest irony of all. That a lot of women have so much baggage and damage and cellulite and obesity and hair and smells, and when you date a woman, you don't just get a pretty woman anymore, you get a mayor's containership of problems. And women get immediately defensive when I'm not talking about you all, just most. I don't think I'm peaches and cream. I don't. But I don't believe I'm the monster either. I am a survivor. That's it. I was reflecting on when Tina lived here. And I sent her a text last night. I said, I was reflecting today when you built that little snowman when we had that snowstorm. And when you came out, we had the lunar eclipse or the solar eclipse or whatever it was in the day. And we were standing out front watching it. And I taught her how to look at the sun without looking at it to see that there was an eclipse. And I took a piece of paper and cut a small hole in it. And I said, this is how you do it. I held it close to the ground where the sun shone through and you could see the crescent of the moon in it. How'd you know that? I said, I learned that in school in Mammoth, because we had one. We had one. We had an eclipse at Denver schools. A lot of us were standing out there. The temperature dropped. The sun was muted, and the shadow of the tree leaves on the ground looked almost computer. I like it when things happen that are bigger than corporate clowns and trolls. I love it when God just grabs something and says, watch this. I'm going to crash this party. When Helene hit Georgia, I had peace. I didn't panic. God prepared me for it. I went out that day and worked my butt off, cutting that oak tree with a small handsaw. Neighbors stopped, used profanity. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe. And I'm up high in the limbs of a fallen oak tree smiling, saying, well, nobody else is going to do it. Got to get my driveway open. God gave me strength. Tina and I made the most of it. For 6 days, the whole house was like this. No natural light, no street lights, nothing. I bought 2 little candles. One we set on the fridge when we cooked. She had one for her room. I took the one for mine. And it's so weird. How many times you get up and flip the switch? Oh yeah, no power. And boy, was it hot, muggy. At night, when it got dark, I'd throw the windows open and let the cross breeze run through here, cool it down. Just before bed, I'd locked everything. We were told people were breaking into homes and robbing businesses. Yesterday, a friend told me you should write a story about that. God is good, but I struggle with that. I doubt his love for me. I doubt that. I doubt it because I was told all my life I was no good. I'll never amount to anything. I have a hard time praising God because, I think, my gosh, I wish I had more money in the bank. I wish I had more of this. When you don't get, excuse me, got a wild oat stuck in my throat. When you don't get the security that should come from a loving mother and father, it affects you. We transpose that onto God. Man, my makeup is running all over. We transpose that to God. We often view God the way we view our parents. I saw God as an old man looking over the balcony with a bolt of lightning in his hand, waiting to blast me in the butt cheeks. You have to read the Bible. And God is. Problem is, I have a problem with adoption. Bible says I've been adopted into the family. I'm like, yeah, that went well for me on the physical realm. Not. Look at what I'm talking about. Look at the games women are playing. Okay, you got all these pretty women out here. Why are they playing games? See, we talk about me and my weirdness. Why are women playing games? Did they grow up in a good home? Are they well adjusted? But our society has dictated that pretty women are where it's at. Our society has dictated if you're into sports, you be a hairy, sweaty, greasy, tattooed freak called LeBron. I don't think he's a handsome man. I'm starting to question men more and more and more. You want to watch grown men, sweaty, hairy armpits, bodily contact in each other? You like that? Why are people into sports? The World Cup, but the soccer's a big thing. Soccer's cool. I think sports are overrated. I think it's sad that men are so shallow that that's all they can talk about. Ben Hutchins. Read between the lines. You will be reported. You little asshat trolls need to learn something. Your little comment isn't going to change who I am. Get out of the basement, go get a job, and go get your own apartment, okay? I am not the Christian that many people think I ought to be. Because people believe this little lie that when we get saved. Now the Bible says you are a new creation. But it's not frosted Lucky Charms, they're magically delicious. And this is the problem. Many evangelical churches have become pep rallies to fire people up. And you get all caught up in that and you come out of church. The minute you get in your truck and get out there, it's like, this isn't going to work. And more pastors fail to confront their own lame, unloving, cliquey congregations. Nothing changes. And when I tell people, go ahead, judge me. If it makes you feel better about yourself, do it. If I wasn't a Christian, where would I be right now? Let that soak in. Does Christ make the difference? He does. Does Christ approve of me doing this? Doubtful. Am I trying to get God angry at me? No. Michael is Irish. I'm stubborn, I'm hard-headed, and sometimes I want to find out for myself. We got a generation of people believing CNN and MSNBC, and those are the ones making fun of me. Yeah. You're the one that's screwed up. You're the one that's brainwashed. Not me. I think for myself. I ask questions. I ask myself hard questions. I even ask, maybe I should consider dating a guy. Maybe I should have a boyfriend. I thought, you think that's going to work any better than a woman? It can't. It won't. And gay men are not faithful. You already crossed one line when God said a man and a woman only. Now you're with another guy and they cheat on each other all the live long day. Because everything in the homosexual thing is based on an orgasm. Most marriages are based on an orgasm. Most relationships with the opposite sex and same sex are based on an orgasm. And when that starts to lose its luster, you're going to go find something else that gives you an orgasm. And if you fail to notice that our society has been moving away from traditional marriage, then now you've got everything and anything going on to produce an orgasm. I love an orgasm. That's why I take care of my own self every day. But a man, men smell different. I don't want to smell bad. They don't smell good, ever. They stink. 5 minutes out in the hot sun with all that suit and tie on, woo, baby, smelly. The cologne they wear, the aftershave they put on, I don't want to smell that. Men bother me. I'm not comfortable being close to men. I wouldn't want a man living in my home. I don't care if he's my best friend. No, no, no. I pray God take my life before I have to live with a man. I pray God take my life before I have to go in a nursing home. I pray God take my life that I can't take care of myself. I value my freedom. And God has taken care of me thus far. Why do I doubt? I'm 60. Is God going to say, well, you're 65, Mike, things are changing. I can't help you anymore. God doesn't do that. The people that adopt me let me down. The people I know have let me down. Elle gets on here and lets me down. Games, liars, scammers, catfishers. There are more in abundance today than ever before. Man, I should have learned the lesson. And I'm broken. I look at stuff I shouldn't. I love lesbian art. I love it. I think it's beautiful. I've said it. If I had a woman that loved me and she loved another woman, so what? As long as it doesn't interfere with our relationship. Michael, that's not even Christ-like. You're absolutely right. But is it Christ-like when you break the speed limit? Is it Christ-like when you don't claim your taxes? Is it Christ-like the way you treat people in a church, don't even say hi or greet them? I've seen some of these Southern dames come into church and they think they're all that on a stick. Did they really come into contact with Jesus, who stretched out his arms on a cross and died? I don't think so. But we should have learned. We should have learned by that picture behind me. We were lied to back then. Grown men in the U.S. came up with this. They didn't say they looked like that. They didn't say that. They just call them sea monkeys. You know, when I was a kid and I saw that illustration, I wanted that. Who wouldn't want to come home from school and you got these happy faces with these little doodads on their head going, waving at, on the other side of the fish tank at me. Be a kid's dream. Your little friends under the sea. What a joke. Look at how stupid Americans are. They made a guy a millionaire over the pet rock. That's clever. It also shows how stupid we are. Rubik's Cube, you have to use your brain. And I read the story about Rubik. Very sad. I believe he was Czechoslovakian. He didn't get anything from that. That was under the Iron Curtain. That's sad. That's really sad because he created something that uses your brain. He didn't get to profit off of it. And he got hairspray women that can come out with crappy music, whether it's Taylor Swift, any of them. But my harshest criticism is Cardi B and Nicki Minaj. That's not music. And it belongs right there. And I know that things have changed when that is on the stage. My cousin and I to this day joke about sea monkeys. We've been had over and over and over and over. We were led to believe as kids. We were blitzed with TV commercials, radio commercials. Don't you like the contrived, acted family commercials? The boring girl that's reading a script, the daughter. At Plunkett Heating and Cooling, we care about our customers. I've seen and heard commercials. I'm like, these are so bad. They're terrible. They're totally fake. They're totally scripted. And we've been conditioned. Clap on, clap off. Cha-cha-cha-chia. We've been commercialized, consumerized. Amazon is building fulfillment centers. Go work at Amazon and let me know if you feel fulfilled. Sleight of hand, sea monkeys, of course. Watch the interview process. Isn't that fun? Well, Michael, we're really glad you applied. We checked things out. Looks like you're doing really good. And we're sorry you weren't selected. Everything is a sham that man and woman come up with. I'm going to tell you where it all started. The first most sad, to me, the saddest recount. And God walked in the garden in the cool of the day, and he said, Adam, where are you? God knew where he was. Why did he ask that? Adam, where are you? I was naked and I hid. Who told you that you were naked? Did you eat of that tree? For the woman, she did it and gave it to me. And he looks at her. The serpent did it. Man is predictable. They won't say, yes, I did, God. That should have been all Adam. Yep, I did. Blaming. And it goes on today. And our great authorities, I was reading something about flocking. Like, what the heck is that? You ever on the road and you see a pole with a slanted solar panel and a camera? They're grabbing millions of license plates. They're reading them. There was something on the internet on a short that I watched. Our privacy is being invaded upon. A woman was wrongly accused of stealing a package because the reader read the 2 as a 7 on a license plate. Now, I do find it interesting that you've got these down on 6th Avenue, right downtown at Broadway in Denver. They got the cameras, and you ought to see the cars running the lights. And you see the flash of the camera. And an attorney ruled that Denver can't enforce that. They send a ticket, and you don't have to pay it. They can't do anything. And it's funny that the attorneys don't stand up for what's right. People running red lights should get a ticket. And it should stick. And the guy says, I wasn't driving the car. Okay, then on this date, we're going to set a court date. You bring in who was driving it. Do it. You let your friend drive your car? No. People lie. People, look at our whole court system is built on finding a loophole. We've watched it with the cops over the years. You got Joe Blow, who's acting like a complete butthole in society, does something wrong, but the defense is going to go after the cop. Oh, they didn't read his Miranda rights. They let a guy go that committed murder because they didn't read him his Miranda rights. You've got to be kidding me. Do you get those read in China, Russia, the UK? No, you don't. And then if you cannot afford an attorney, the court will appoint one for you. I could not be a defense attorney. There's some people, they tell me a case, I'd look them in the eye and say, I can't represent you. You did something really wrong, bud. I can't support this. But attorneys are after the money. What's the Christian stance? You don't support somebody like that. Anthony Carmelo. What a joke that was. Now you got clowns out there saying they want to move to Africa because America's so unfair. Please, you'll make my day if those of you within the 13%ers that believe the bullcrap that you believe about us in society, please do us a favor and go away. Take that offensive music with you. Take the crime stats with you. Yeah. I'm all for that. I am all for that. Got my chips. Got my street food. Got my applesauce. Got my almonds and cashews. Oh, that screen share boogers it up. No, I'm not perfect. I never thought I was. I believe in the Bible. And there are people who say, wow, Mike's a horrible example as a Christian. You're right. But you're a jerk. And you're probably not saved. And you're judging me on God's book. And what's really funny is that verse in Matthew 7:1 is for you, not me. Judge not lest you be judged. For the measure you use will be measured. You don't even know Christ is Savior and you're judging me? Oopsie. Bad idea. But if you are a Christian, what are you doing? You don't have a face picture. You don't have a channel. You just got an ID so you can go pew, pew, pew on a keyboard. Witnessing for God, right? I don't think so. I don't believe that. And because of what I've been through, and I tried to please my mother all the way into my 30s. Brenda signed in my school yearbook in Mammoth the year I went to leave to move to Prescott in 1983. Mike, you are a happy-go-lucky guy, and that may sound kind of gay, but you are always happy. It was said of me at Walter Elementary, the neighbor Barbie Seymour across the street used to say, Michael is always singing or humming. He loves music. I sat in a home in Tampa, Florida for 3 months. My friend had 2 daughters. One was typical teen, stuck up, rude. I got no patience for that. I could not raise a teen girl. One, because society won't let me do what I need to do. If I had a teen girl with that attitude, man, I'd take her over my knee if I could. And pow! You are not going to have that attitude in my house. I don't care if you're on your period. I don't care if you're going 2 little speed bumps on your chest. You're not going to do this. And that's what's happened with a lot of women. They excuse it. And simp men let them do that. And simp men will sit there and beg anything to have dinner at the Y. Men are emasculating themselves, prostrating themselves in front of women. It's sick. And then everybody's a so-called expert on my problems. That's a joke. And I learned to judge, and I learned to analyze, and I learned to be a critical thinker. Most people that are not saved believe lies about me. They think I'm weird, messed up, got mental problems. Most Christians in the U.S. don't have depth and maturity to them, and they believe the same. This channel is growing. People are coming because there's community in the chat. Pretty women. Males. And people from around the world. And they come here because I'm authentic. A woman told me, I'm here because you're 100% authentic. Most men in America are too busy doing, I'm doing well. That's not authentic. And I understand that some people don't answer the question, how are you doing? But when you got a woman in church, hi, Mr. Mike, how are you doing? And walking away before you can answer, that is a dysfunction of our society. My opinion. If you don't really want to know, if you don't really care, stop going through the motions, stop putting the canned laughter on the show. And we've been taught by TV. We've been taught. The Sunday school teacher this last week has never said good morning to me. And he's up there teaching Sunday school. He's a rotund, overweight man. And he's walking. He never made eye contact with me once. He looked at everybody in that room. He never made eye contact with me. I thought that was significant. He had a sidearm on him. And why is he coming to church with a gun? Well, he let us all know from the start. He talks about Anthony Carmelo and Metcalf on an extremely superficial level. I didn't raise my hand. I didn't get involved. I thought, my channel is deeper than this guy's Bible lesson today. Man, he isn't friendly except to his clique. Nobody in that church knows, except Pastor, that I have a channel. And if they heard me talking on here, I'm sure they'd get bent real quick. But our church is not attracting a large group of new people. There are more new people that come to my channel in a week than will come to that church in 4 years. And there may be a manifold number of reasons. Some of them could be trolls simply waiting to make a snarky remark. Some of them could be people that are rubbing one out over me. Some of them may be getting like, oh, look at this clown. You know, we don't know who's on here and for what reason and why. But what I look at that's the fruit is the chatters that come on and stay. When they stood up against L, unanimously, I didn't make them do that. I didn't ask them to do that. Some of the women on my channel will really hold their feet to the fire. And while that's going on, I thought, you know, she didn't bother to text me. Why did she come in this channel tonight? And you didn't answer all those texts I left on Thursday? The only comment on Friday was, I have a migraine and a sad face. I'm sorry, do you have anything to take for that? No answer. Why is it that women can do that? Why is it that women can think, well, I don't have to answer because I don't feel good? Let a man do that to a woman and watch what happens. I did that very thing once, and I did it on purpose. There was a woman named Debbie, Wheat Ridge, Colorado. 5'1", blonde. She lied to me on a dating site. She didn't tell me she smoked, and quite heavily at that. And I got sucked into that mess. Took her to Red Lobster on New Year's Eve in, what was it, 2015? First date. She answers her phone in the restaurant after we ordered dinner. New Year's Eve is happy. There were people dressed up. There was a lot of people in there. People celebrating. And she starts yelling in the phone. I'm like, oh my gosh. We're in a decent restaurant and she's got Tammy going on. I looked at her and I said, I'm going to go to the bathroom. I got out my flip phone on that toilet. I texted a friend. I think it was Anthony. I said, wait till I tell you about this date. She's having a personal phone call right now, yelling at an ex-boyfriend in the restaurant. I think he says, oh boy. He says, you get the good ones, Mike. But when I finally had enough and I drove from her house one day, 3 days went by and she said, how are you? And I didn't respond. Sent another message, I didn't respond. Why are you treating me like this? Why are you ignoring me? And I didn't respond. Because you all do that to us all the time, and it's okay because you're a woman. Does anybody know the golden rule? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Why is there two separate rule sheets for women and men in this culture? That's a valid question. I treat people better than most women treat people. I treat people better than most Christians in today's churches that know the Word of God inside and out treat people. I work harder than most Christians. I tell you what, I was beat up by my mother, and it sucked. Beat up mentally, physically. My mother was abusive. My mother was not a well-adjusted mom. I never called her mom. Even my wife of 14 years noticed that. I noticed you never refer to her as mom, it's mother. Yeah, I don't feel tender towards her. I wasn't an easy child to raise, but I was a child. You're going to adopt somebody, the impetus falls on you. You as the adoptor, to be careful how you treat the adopted. And that has impacted and affected the way I look at God. One of the last conversations I had with my mother on the phone was in Hibbing, and my mother said something about God. I said, I did not get a relationship with God from you. You are not my mentor. She actually got quiet. I said, you did not model God or the Bible to me. My cousin told his mother the same thing. Two sisters. Sharon treated me like gold. My mother treated my cousin like gold. My mother treated me like cat box stuff. And my cousin said, he's just now. She died years ago. I got to pick her up at the Spokane airport. In 2009 or 2010. I took her to Red Lobster. It's the greatest meal I ever had with my aunt. We had a good time. We talked about my mother and what I grew up with. My aunt always encouraged me. She'd run her fingers through my red hair as a kid. Aunt Sharon was a breath of fresh air. When she'd come into the house, hi, Michael. Sharon was very kind. I don't want kids. I don't want nothing to do with them. I have no patience for teen girls and their rest me biatch face and their rudeness. And I don't have to have any understanding. I drove buses for years. They're rude. And our society enables them and allows them to do that. And it's wrong. I don't care if you're going through your period of body changes. Be right. And you got men, boys, grow up in dysfunctional homes as well. Dylan Klebold and Eric Harris are classic exclamation point against white middle class families. Parents would buy them toys and give them everything, live in nice houses, and they showboat to the community. The Harrises and the Klebolds are despicable parents. They couldn't be reached for comment at all. You got locks on your bedroom doors. You got propane tanks and guns and everything. What the hell is going on over there? And it's white middle-class kids that shoot up schools. Not blacks. Not Asians. Now, Mexican kids shot up a school down there in Texas recently. Lived with the auntie or whatever. And don't get me started on a community of grown men. You know, that 13%? The grown men in that community are the least well-adjusted of any of the males. Because they grew up with a mother who just yelled and cussed and screamed and twerking to Cardi B. They're boys up here. And yet they got a man's body. And because they didn't grow up with the balance of a man, they're going to shoot you or kill you or beat you up. They don't agree to disagree. They don't know how to solve conflict. They create it. They run over people's boundaries, drive up and down the street with their shitty boom. That's not good parenting. You weren't taught right. And it's funny. Everybody who does that thinks that they're cool. I'm 60 years old. The people that thought they were cool back then, nobody thought they were cool back then. It's all an illusion. Most of us are like, turn that shit off. Sucks. I don't care what people think of me. None of those people cared that my mother was abusing me. None of those people cared about the stuff I went through. They're not giving me my paycheck. They're not paying my bills. Trust and believe. If I was a multi-billionaire, if I had the money that Elon Musk had, why is he worth $1 trillion? That's ridiculous. If I had that money, I would buy Google, and I'd fire every single one of them, and I'd hire most of the people in my chat room. Anybody under 18 would not be allowed to have a channel. And we would enforce it. You would be required to submit ID. You can only have one account. And you can't make more. And if you have a VPN, we got a firewall, not allowed. Put these people on blast. You know, it's funny. Everybody's worried about AI and stuff. The internet companies, these big corporations, they're not doing anything to stop it, and they have the ability. Instead, they're picking on us, who have a view that's contrary to them. Censorship to Christians, conservatives, people who think for themselves. Adolf Hitler, socialism. Kim Jong-un is rearing its ugly head through the medium of the cyber world. Dumbing people down. AI girlfriends, a guy divorced or broke off an engagement to a decent, attractive woman to marry AI. How is that even possible? People saying they're going to buy regular robot dolls. I don't care how desperate I feel or get, I'm not doing sex with a doll. No. We're in bad shape as a country. And people don't like it when I say that, but it's the truth. It is the truth. We're not going to make America great again. How is that even possible? What do you got? 90 million Democrat voters? How are you going to make this country great with 90 million people whose heads are not thinking correctly? How are you going to make America great when schools are teaching evolution and laughing at the Christian faith? How are you going to make America great When women believe it's okay to murder the child in their womb, but they'll slam on the brakes for a dog and almost get ran over by a semi-truck behind them. Yeah, you're not going to straighten that out. Einstein's definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. And we do it every 4 years. Every 4 years. All we do is vote in another clown that's going to get a fatter paycheck than you'll ever get in your life. I struggle. I struggle with my flesh. I want to go home because this world isn't it. Even if I had a lot of money and I'd go live in Tahiti, it wouldn't be long. I'd see the defects of the community. I'd see the demoralizing bullcrap that goes on there. I've talked about the teachers that I went to Mammoth school system with. A lot of them were Fruit Loops and quacks and messed up and abused kids. Tom Beveridge should have been arrested and jailed. Took Beverly Scott, laid her down on the math table in front of the whole class when I was in middle school. Rummaged through her purse, grabbed her pack of cigarettes and broke and crushed them into her face in front of the whole class. I don't like smoking. Beverly Scott was stuck up. But I'm sitting in my seat going, that isn't right. But I didn't say anything because adults had the power back then. Now, the kids rule everything. Messed up. My mother should have been incarcerated for what she did. And to watch my mother write this fake eulogy of her husband, she built a partition and put my dad in a different part of the house. My mother was rude to Fred all the time. She pushed him away. She spent his money. My mother didn't make the money. He did. He was out at work. And she was horrible to him. I would have divorced her ass so fast her head would have spun like a piñata after 20 kids were whacking at it. My mother was evil. And the fact that anybody calls her good is beyond my ability to comprehend. She was horrible to him. She was horrible to me. That's the world we live in. I got to get up every day. I don't have a safety net to fall on. But I thank God for the chatters and the subscribers and the community that I have here. I thank God that I have God because at the end of the day, even though I get discouraged and I struggle, God loves Michael. I don't know why, but he does. And he loves me in spite of myself. Once you become a child of God, you're in the family of God. God disciplines those he loves. God doesn't abuse us. Our society does. Our employers do. I'm sorry to admit, it's gotten so bad in the church, I just go to hear the truth. I don't go to get fellowship. That doesn't exist for me anymore. And I just see the same thing. People don't change. Sometimes I don't change. And then against that backdrop, we're human. I have needs. I love to ravish a woman and love on her. That's denied me. How long is God going to allow all this crazy stuff to go on before he pulls the plug? Thank you for listening. Your prayers are appreciated. I hope you all have a good day. Read the Bible if you don't believe. Read it until you do believe.